Okay, guys, please, welcome back for that short disruption. I'm sorry for the disruption. Um, I want to zoom straight into action, talking about what Bitnest is. And my name, as usual, is Jerry. Now, if a friend or someone invited you about a certain business that is changing lives around the globe, and then putting smile on the face of people for so long now, yes, that is the business I'm about to talk to you about. However, let me quickly lay out this general disclaimer, guys. I am not a financial advisor. My aim here tonight is um, to share some of my discovery about this platform called Bitnest, and then also share my opinion on certain securities architecture of this opportunity. What I cannot do is to advise you on what to do with your funds. If you need investment advice, I would suggest you speak to your financial advisor, and then let him or her share or advise you accordingly. My training here is for educational purposes, and that is what I stand for: sharing information, sharing knowledge. I have nothing to do with business. In fact, I don't even know those who own Bitnest platform. What I know is a certain smart contract that is on the blockchain that I can make decisions based on the data available on the chain. So I hope this disclaimer sets in well. And then with that said and done, I think I need to go live in. But then if you can hear me, I want to know if you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, please, can you drop a message in the box? Can you just drop a message? If you can hear me, if you can see me, if you can see my screen, please drop a message in here. Let me see if you're part of this call, please. And please, I may want to ask you to share this link again with a group. The earlier call got disrupted by a regular call that took me off and ended it abruptly. I've just restarted. Please help me share the message to our friends elsewhere. Tell them the program is truly about to begin, please. And if you can see me, or if you can see my screen, if you can hear me, just drop a message in a box to ensure that to assure me that you can see my screen, so we can continue from here. Am I loud and clear, please? Okay, thank you. So moving on, let's talk about what Bitnest is first of all. Bitnest, like I keep saying, is a comprehensive decentralized financial platform that integrates multiple services, including yield farming, decentralized savings, lending, leasing, and then governance through DAO. And this whole system or ecosystem is actually built on the Binance Smart Chain and other EVM compatible networks. Now, this offers us a very secured, high yield and automated financial solutions. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through all the aspects of this ecosystem, so we can have this conversation together. Remember, to proceed again, I am not your financial advisor. My duty here is to ensure that you have a full breakdown of how this system works, the security architecture they have in place. We're going to visit those experts to seek their advice and all. So moving straight in, this ecosystem is actually made out of 5 very, very powerful products that come together to form this ecosystem. And this product, first of all, starts with the Bitnest loop. Now, a lot of people on Bitnest, all they know is Bitnest loop, and then maybe the saving box. Now the bit lending, the lease, and then the DAO aspect of the business, most people are yet to fully understand how it works, and I hope that by the close of this discussion you should be able to make sense of where this project is heading towards and what they are up to, what they intend to do in their next move, and how the future looks like. So let's take all this ecosystem or all these individual products and then break them down and see how distinct they are, and of course how they come together to form the solid ecosystem we see running for several years now, starting with the Bitnest loop. But then before I go to the loop, I want to come back to my screen to be sure if you can hear me or see my screen. I don't know if it's possible. Are you seeing my screen? Can you hear me loud and clear? If yes, please drop a message in the box. Okay, thank you. So I want to start with the Bitnest loop. Now, the Bitnest loop, which is the most common and widely accepted product of Bitnest, is an automated yield farming. In this Bitnest loop, users actually deposit their USDT into these smart contracts, and then they earn fixed cycled returns. Remember, in the next few slides, I'm really going to show you how they do this to be able to sustain it for all these years that they have been in existence, and what is the rationale behind the ever-growing liquidity pool, right? So when it comes to Bitnest loop, it gives you four cycled investment options. We have the 1 day option, which gives you 0.4%. Simply means that if you decide to, let's say, participate in Bitnest loop for, or circulate your funds or put your USDT down for a day, and you allow the entire 24 hours to run up, what happens is that the system returns your principal plus extra 0.4%. So you put 1,000 into this for 24 hours, it yields $4 for you effortlessly, which hits your wallet without withdrawal or any withdrawal charges. It automatically hits your wallet. Then we have the 7 days loop that gives you 4%. The 14 days loop gives you 9.5%, and then the 28 days giving you 24% returns. Now you also observe that the longer the duration, the higher the returns. So while 1 day gives you 0.4%, 7 days actually gives you 4%. Under normal circumstances, 7 days times 2 should have been around 8%. But you realize that because you are going for the longer period, it attracts extra 1.5%, making it 9.5% instead of 8. Then it also boils down to the longer period of 28 days, giving you 24% in a month. And that is about the Bitnest loop. Now, let me also explain that when you put your money in the Bitnest loop and you state how long you want it to be there, let's say 1 day, 1 day, 7 days, 14 days, or 28 days, you do not have access to these funds until the contract is matured, right? Now, there's another product called the Bitnest Savings Box. With this savings box, it offers you a flat 0.4% daily, which is equivalent to about 12% in a month. But the difference is that it doesn't lock your capital throughout the period. So what it means is that you can stake your capital today, and in the next 5 minutes, something may have cropped up and you need access to that funds. Each time you want it, the system will automatically release it to you at your command. Automatically. It doesn't need to go through any human approval to cause any delay. Once you click on redeem or claim your capital, within split seconds, it hits your wallet, and then you can proceed to use whatever you want to use it for. Now, these funds that we deposit into these two products are mostly used for DeFi strategies such as cross-bridge arbitrage and then liquidity farming. I'll go deeper into liquidity farming and this cross-chain arbitrage when we are looking at how they generate their funds to be able to sustain their product. Now, another thing is that their lending and borrowing, protocol, and all these are different set of smart contracts that come together to make their ecosystem. Now, when we deposit our funds into the loop, majority of the income we make, it comes from the company using our, or the plus, sorry for using company, not a company, but a smart contract borrowing out our funds to those who actually need it, not just for borrowing sake, but those who actually provide, collateral to warrant or to merit these funds. And then at the end of the day, these guys pay in return daily interest or fixed interest over the period through which you are paid. So for instance, let's say I want to borrow from the pool, and I decided that I want to borrow $10,000. Now the system will calculate how much depending on the asset I want to use. So for instance, let's say I want to use Ethereum as my collateral. Now somebody will ask, if I have Ethereum up to $10,000, what prevents me from selling off my Ethereum to be able to acquire the money I want? And that is where this whole conversation comes in. You and I know BTC and Ethereum are very, very volatile on the market. Today, before jumping on this call, BTC is selling around $106, $106,000, and who knows, by the end of this call, BTC could just spike up to maybe $150,000, maybe $200,000. The crypto market is that volatile and can be that crazy. So BTC I have, what happens is that I can use my position as a collateral. How does it really work to be sure that nobody comes up to take advantage of what they have? If I want to, let's say, borrow money from Bitnest community, my BTC is set aside. Okay, sorry about that. My BTC is set aside in a smart contract, or it is kept in an escrow, which the smart contract takes hold of and then releases your funds that you put into the loop to me, right? When that happens, what it means is that until I return these funds that I borrowed together with the interest that I agreed on, my BTC is not going to be released to me. And if I delay to execute this transaction within the stated time, what it means is that it is going to, the smart contract is going to liquidate my BTC, swap it into USDT to replace whatever you have put in order to take care of your money, so you don't end up losing money. And when they do the swapping, and what is available is more than, or what they realize is more than what I am supposed to bring, the smart contract is so fair to return the excess back into my wallet for me to walk away with. So it's almost like a risk-free lending and borrowing, protecting your funds from people who may want to take advantage of it. And all this we are talking about is taken care of by a smart contract, a certain smart contract. There are no human involvement in all this. The rules have been set in place that if I do this, then I can have this, and if I finally return it, then I can also have that. All this has been written into the code, and that is what works without any human intervention. Now, let's look at the last and the final product. I want to be very brief because I'll be going deeper into the security aspects of Bitnest and what exactly makes it worth trying. It's a risk worth trying, but what really makes it what really makes it worthy of our try? I'm going to delve deeper into that. So the last bit of what I want to touch on, or their product, has to do with their DAO, which is the community governance. And we all aware that once we hit 2 million user base, currently we are around 1.8, edging close to 1.9 million users. Once we hit 2 million user base, our MEG token the system will begin airdropping these tokens to early adopters, and then it will also pave way for supernode owners, for people to buy nodes to be able to maintain the network and all, and to be able to earn some reward and all by holding the token. In effect, those who own this token will be the true owners of Bitnest. So as Bitnest is now, if you check the security ratings on CETIC, you realize that there is no team verification. And of course, rightly so, because the actual owners of this project are the owners of the token. So if I am going to own a token in the future, and you are putting your name on the project as if you own it, that defeats the purpose of what we call the autonomous, the decentralized autonomous organization. That defeats that purpose. So what happens is that, be the owners of the token. As long as you hold the token, you have the right to making decisions, voting on issues, making recommendations, having a say in how the community runs. And that is the next phase that is going to even lift Bitnest into the height all of us wants to. So if you feel the 2 years or so that has been the successes that have been achieved so far in the last 2 years is mind-blowing, then I think the next phase is rather going to even blow you up bigger and better. I will delve right into this token later today if I have enough time after the presentation. Now, let's talk about how Bitnest generates the funds to be able to pay us all these huge sums of huge returns on our investment. If you remember on the first slide, I mentioned that when you put your funds down, or when you invest into this smart contract, it rewards you 0.4% daily. Is good, but it gives you 4% daily in 1 month, which is in 1 week, which is great. In 7 days to be precise, which is great. It gives you 9.5% in 14 days, and then 24% in 28 days. Now, a lot of critics says that this level of payment is way too much for a platform, or for a decentralized platform like Bitnest. And the question is, how have they been able to sustain this for over 2 years now, and with enough liquidity sitting down there backing what they are doing every now and then, right? So let's look at it. First of all, I talked about liquidity arbitrage. Because they provide liquidity, or they own a liquidity pool on PancakeSwap, which I'll show you in a bit, they have what it takes to take advantage of price differentials between two exchanges, right? They have a system that scans two decentralized exchanges and see that the little gap between price differentials and lock in profits. That also generates extra income to add up to the lending and borrowing, what they get from the lending and borrowing. And of course, the DeFi lending fees, borrowers pay some interest when taking loans from the community. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, if you take loan from the community, you pay about 1.5% daily per what I saw at their loop when I engage it. You pay about 1.5% daily. And how much do they pay you per day? Even if they are giving you 24% in 28 days, you want to divide 24 by 28, you arrive at 0.85% per day. So, and that is the maximum they can pay you per day on your investment. But if this same money is put to work, and they are charging 1.5% daily, is that not reasonable amount to pay, looking at the fact that they have to pay commissions and to team owners, and then also reserve something for the liquidity pool, right? And then the instant capital borrowing also comes with some form of fees they also pay. The flash loans, they borrow capital, and then they have to pay some fees to be able to access this. all those revenue come together to the liquidity pool to sustain their model and keep it going. And then of course the yield farming, they own, we've proven it on this course severally, their liquidity pool on Pancake Swap, which we all verified the last time we did the security analysis. Today we're going to do it again. And then by providing liquidity, they earn fees, they earn commissions or bonuses or rewards for each transaction they help execute at the end of the day. All these sources of revenue come together to sustain their 24% in 28 days model. Now, aside that too, these same sources of revenue helps them to maintain very, very healthy but extremely attractive, reward system. They have one of the easiest compliance in the system. Guys, most of you who know me, you know me to be a network marketing person. I understand commissions and structure. In fact, I am an expert in coming up with a comp plan. And if you see a company or a platform or a project paying you all the way to your 17th generations, guy, 17th generation simply means that me, Jerry here, I brought you happen to be my first generation or my first level. You bring your friend becomes your first but my second level. He brings his friends becomes his first, your second, and my third. It goes on and on and on till the 17th level deep. And guess what? Each time any of these guys, engage with the protocol, their commission, whatever their interest they make, there's a certain cut or a certain commission that you earn. So their structure is such a way that you do a very simple job once, and it keeps paying you over and over and over and over again for life. And that is why if you observe all our platforms, people like Peter keep hammering the need to build a team to share the opportunity with others. I just mentioned a while ago that we are just about 1.8 million people out of how many billion in the world. I don't think that's enough. And of course, because all of us are also eager for the fifth phase to kick in, looking for at least 2 million active people, I think it is only fair we all put our wheels to this our shoulders to this wheel and push it till we get there for the general purpose of our community. Now, here is the thing. It is not that they rely on the new funds from users to pay old users, and that's the reason why they want you to bring in guys. We need, in a decentralized world, especially in the crypto space, boasting with a community of over 5 million, 10 million people is actually a long way to prove, your tenacity. And imagine you launch a token and there are 5 million people holding this token or expressing interest in acquiring or trading it. That alone is enough achievement. And that's exactly what Bitnest hopes to achieve with the numbers, and not necessarily because they want to rely on new users' funds to pay old users. In fact, the system is such a way that even if no user comes in, the existing users can still sustain this system as long as they keep engaging with their protocol day in and night. Now, let me also stress that as a team builder, you need to be very aware of the requirements to be able to earn on all these levels as stated. Like I mentioned, level 1, you earn 20% of their income. So assuming you bring a friend who puts in, let's say, $1,000 and $1,000 for 28 days, he's going to make $240 return. And these $240, you as the sponsor, you are entitled to 20% of that $240, which comes to you automatically into your wallet. You don't need to request for it. However, the rule requires that you, at the point of your friend doing this float or doing this circulation, you should have at least activated at least $100 worth of float. You should have an active float of $100, and that qualifies you to earn the commission on your downline. So if you don't have $100 and your downline puts in, you missed the commission for that round. But that is not a room. That doesn't mean you should give up, because that contract only expires in 28 days. And 99.9% of people whose contract expire, looking at how flexible and how easy the system is, always come back to put in again. So you just need to be careful that by the next 28 days, you already have what it takes to earn on your first level. Now, to move on to your second level, you need to have at least $200 active stake, not past and closed deals, but active ones. So let's say your friend, after doing the 1,000, decides to bring a friend. If that friend puts in also 1,000, you are entitled to 10% of his $240, which must come to you. But before you earn that, you should have at least $200 active flow. It goes on to level 3 to level 7. From level 3 to level 7 actually gives 5% of their interest. And to be able to qualify for that, you need to ensure that you have at least $300 to $700. Let me explain that part, because it confuses a lot of people. When I came in, I was also told that once you have $300, it covers your level 3 to level 7. Now, that notion is actually not true. What it simply means is that if you want to earn on your level 3, you need to have active flow of $300. You want to earn on your level 4, you need to have $400. The only reason why they group them from 3rd to 7th level is because they all give 5%. Level 8 to level 9 to 10 also gives 3%, which also requires additional $100 each. So if you want to earn from your first level all the way to the 17th level, you may want to have active flow of 1,700 or 1,700 to be able to cover the entire team up to the 17th generation. And once you do that, anytime somebody else makes a circulation, whatever is you is automatically credited to your account. Now, let's talk about security and protection, because a lot of smart contracts have disappointed most of us in the past. I have been a victim. I've lost fortunes online, to other smart contracts. That is the reason why you and I are still having doubts about some of these things, which is okay. I mean, I always believe in doing your due diligence. There is nothing on this earth that is risk-free, not even Bitnest. So the fact that the smart contract is renounced, it is safe, it has been, the admins don't have any rights in there, all the security, areas cease to be solid, doesn't still make it riskless. It still contains amount of risk. However, I keep saying, if you're going to take some risk at all, let it be a reasonable risk. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to go with Bitnest. Because one, CETIC, the world's superpower, firm for auditing smart contracts, have actually audited their smart contracts, and they have come out with their findings. That finding has been published on the Bitnest website. But to avoid doubt, I'm going to take you right to CETIC itself, and then we'll verify what they have seen about the smart contract and what are the loopholes, the warnings, the areas we should be careful with. We're going to go together into that, and I'll talk about it tonight. Aside that too, they have the multi-signature wallet system, which prevents unauthorized funds access. And then all their smart contracts are decentralized, which eliminates, human or manual interference. And then they also have what they call the Bitnest insurance funds. When you go to the site, a lot has been said about this fund, but what they are saying is that they understand they are dealing with a technology. Anything can happen at any time. There can be failure at a point, and that could result in some losses. And if any loss should to arise as a result of failure of maybe a certain blockchain or a downtime, and then some small revenue is lost, they will fall on these insurance funds to compensate those who are affected and all. And all these things ensure that the risk environment or the risk associated with Bitnest is minimized, for our own protection. And so, why would I want you to consider Bitnest at this point? Obviously, because it is fully decentralized. It also has what we call the guaranteed earning, ranging from 0.4, up to 24% in 28 days in the loop. And then instant withdrawals. You don't even need to request for withdrawals. It is instantly paid into your wallet. And then, of course, multiple sources of income, as we mentioned earlier. And another part is that they do not require any form of KYC from you to participate in. A lot of institutions, a lot of projects have used that as a way of practicing what we call price discriminatory, or they use that to discriminate. Especially, we have had a lot of experiences in projects that we put our money in, and when the time was due for us to take, they tell you, due to your region where you are coming from, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this. When it comes to blockchain or Bitnest, some of these limitations, restrictions, and discrimination has been taken care of. For there's no need required. All you need is for you to just own a crypto wallet and use that wallet to enter into a contract with their smart contract. So this is the first part of my presentation. I'm going to pause here and see if there are some questions from my users. Sorry, I would like to check if there are some questions. If not, then I will proceed faster into other phases of what we do. So without wasting much time again, let me quickly take you first of all to my group. If you are not part of this community, which is called the Bitnest Golden Opportunity, I will drop the link to this group so you can join us and be part of what we do here. Now, I want to also demonstrate something I have been sharing with my group, and that has to do with the flow of funds. When you put money into Bitnest, how does the distribution of the funds really move? How does the funds, what are the ways or the channels through which these funds move through? And I have this nice float. I hope you can see. First of all, when you create a loop, your funds first of all goes through the first point of contact. Actually has to do with the contract address of USDT BEP20. That is the first entry point that accepts your float and then pushes it to the smart contract wallet address of Bitnest, right? So I want you to pay particular attention to this wallet address, OXFCC442, and then it ends with TXNS, right? This is the smart contract address of Bitnest. When it receives this fund, it now moves it to what we call their liquidity pool on PancakeSwap, right? Then through that, it also triggers a call from their proxy contract that takes care of the distribution of funds, especially in terms of commission. Commissions are instantly distributed and properly labeled on the blockchain as rewards from looping, which I'm going to display to you in a second. All these things happens, and then at the end of the day, when your investment matures, it comes back to this same smart contract address, which is their liquidity pool, and at the end of the day, it comes back to you together with your interest, your principal and your interest comes to you at the end of the day in a form of money. So once we understand this, the first point of call we want to edit or we want to pay attention to is the smart contract itself that receives the funds, because everything we do happens within this smart contract. So if there's any way the owners want to divert funds into other things, the first point of action will be through this smart contract. Now, that is the smart contract I want us to take, which is here, like I mentioned earlier. Look at it, OFCC 442, this. So what I'm going to do is to copy this smart contract address. Why? Because we need to look at the security architecture of this smart contract. That is the only thing that can give us the benefits, or give us the benefits of the doubt, and decide whether or not to participate in this. And when I copied it, where exactly am I taking it to? I want to first of all take it to a security firm called DFI. So I am going to d.fi.scanner. Please, if you're a new member, don't let this whole thing confuse you. I'm taking it slow so you can follow and understand exactly what I am doing. So now, what I'm going to do is, when it comes to d.fi, they are not affiliated with Bitnest or any way. What they do is that they have the tools to scan any smart contract and to come out and tell you some of the security loopholes that exist in this smart contract. So what I'm going to do now is to paste the wallet address there, and look at it. It has brought out the name of Bitnest, meaning that they actually recognize the particular smart contract or name of the project that bears this smart contract. And then we are going to scan it up, open it up, and see some of the issues they have had with this smart contract. And this is very, very important. Guys, if you are watching this, if anybody gives you a project and they say this project has been properly renounced and it has done this, it has done that, don't take their words for it. Even me talking to you this evening, don't take my words for it. Grab the smart contract by yourself, take it to d.fi, and then put it in there. Scan the contract and look at what external people who have no affiliation with their contract have to say. So now, let's look at their findings. They actually rate this smart contract as 99 over 100, and they've given it a DeFi score of 97%. Guys, 97%. If you are new, I think you need to pay attention to this because it is very, very important. Now, this particular smart contract was deployed on Saturday, 18th of May 2024. But in my earlier submission, I did mention that this smart contract has been in existence for 2 years. Does it mean I just told a lie on a live video? No. I'm actually going to explain this to you in a jiffy. But before I do that, let's look at the security architecture of this smart contract. First of all, you observe that the contract owner's wallet address actually owns a wallet, right? But when it comes to the creator has a wallet, a known wallet belonging to someone. But when it comes to the owner, the one who can actually go in there and change things and pause the contract and do that, you see that the contract, this ownership has been renounced, right? Which means that the creator of this contract has given up the ownership of this contract to the now wallet, which means that he, the creator, cannot come in there to pause the contract, to change anything or have access to any other thing. But then don't take my word for it. Let's look at some of the things they found. Number one, no vulnerable withdrawal functions found in the smart contract after scanning it. No reentrancy risk found. No logs detected. Verified source code found. Contract cannot be upgraded. Contract cannot be upgraded. Cannot be upgraded. No ERC vulnerabilities found. Contract owner cannot abuse ERC approvals. No blocking loop found. Wallets cannot be whitelisted like other projects where you are perceived to be a whale, or you let's say you're a big investor and maybe their project is suffering. Their first point of call is to restrict some wallets from withdrawing so that the little liquidity they have can serve the small withdrawals to create impression as if all is good. And then at the end of the day, when it is time for these big boys to be paid, they come up with a lot of stories and all. That cannot happen here, and all these no retrievable ownership found in the smart contracts, which means that there are no backdoor entrance once it has been released, and so forth. And so they went on and on and on and on, and actually stated that this smart contract is 97% safe. In fact, 99% safe, 99% out of 100 safe, right? And they rated it 97%. Now, from this is just one security firm saying this about their smart contracts. I need you to follow me through this discussion, because what we are doing, I chose to do this here today so that it will be on record, all I'm saying. So now let's look at let's go to Solidity Scan. Since the smart contract address was written with a Solidity language, the contract language, the programming language used for the contract is Solidity, I think it is only fair we go to their scan to check if for real, if any other programmer can understand their language better, it is in that same language they have used in writing the smart contract. So what we're going to do here is to run a quick scan, right? And then we select the blockchain. Now, I mentioned that this smart contract was built on the Binance chain, and it was actually on the mainnet chain. So after putting all these things, I'm going to paste the wallet address we copied, the contract address we copied earlier. And for avoidance of doubt, let me scroll back so we all see it again. We are still talking about this same wallet address, OS, FCC, and all. Now, we're going to run a scan on the wallet, and then let's see what they also have to say. Now, for me, I keep telling people, I do not trust the team. I don't want to even know the team behind the smart contract. I want to trust the smart contract based on security grounds, right? I don't care if the owners are hidden somewhere, they don't want to be known. Bitcoin or the blockchain itself was built on that principle, when the actual owner has never revealed himself to today. Does that make Bitcoin scam? I don't think so. And initially, those were some of the things they used to, to bash Bitcoin promoters or the blockchain promoters, saying it doesn't have a face, it doesn't have an owner, and for that matter, it's a scam. So many years down the lane, everybody, all government institutions, all countries are now talking about how they can get in there and take advantage of this unique and disruptive technology. So now let's look at what the findings are on this token. And first of all, let's look at their overall rating. Where we were coming from earlier stated that they rank this token or this smart contract 97 over 100. So another scanner is also rating Bitnest 97 over 100. And these are industry's top security firms, right? So if all these guys are saying that, look, there are classification of risk here: high risk, moderate risk, low risk, and beneficial, as well as unavailable. And we are more interested in this aspect, the high risk. So they found some issues with the smart contract, and let's look at what are some of these things they found. We mentioned earlier on that the source code is verified from where we are coming from. And yes, when it comes to the second feature, it says presence of minting function, and it says that it actually has no impact on the smart contract. Then presence of burn function, which is beneficial. And then they say what? They have one issue, and this issue is the Solidity Pragma version they use to write the code. um, is outdated, right? They use an earlier version to write the code, and now that we have progressed and other updates of the code has come, they are still using the they are still why? Because the smart contract cannot be upgraded, and I see no reason why they can go back in there and upgrade it to conform with a new version of the Solidity. So aside that, all other things per the findings, they also decided to give them 97 over 100. Now, these are two people's testimony or two security firms' testimony about the same smart contract, and the testimony or the words of people against you, saying the same thing at the same time about almost the same ratings should go a long way, should tell you that nobody is influencing all these results. It is based on their findings. Finally, I want to take you to the number one security firm, um, as long as smart contracts are involved, and I am talking about the the largest blockchain security auditor that we have. What makes them the largest? Just take a look at the clients, top industry experts, trust in their ability or trust in their judgment and their advice to remain safe, not just safe to prove to users, but safe from hackers and unscrupulous actors on the platform who may necessarily, you see, sometimes projects go wrong not because admin had walked away with funds. It's just simply because hackers have found way to hack them up and gain access to their liquidity pool, drain it, and then render them, helpless, bringing most projects to their knees. So looking at the list here, you have OKS here, you have crypto.com here, you have Ton, you have Pepe, you have Repo, you have Theta, you have, all these leaders, industry experts. In fact, even if you are new to crypto, you don't know anything, at least you know Apple, right? You know Apple. You should know Gala at least. You know Samsung. These are the brands that rely on CETIC for what they do, a top-notch security firm. So what is our mission here? Our mission here is to find out if, first of all, they actually know about, Bitnest and their smart contract. And if they do, is it true that they've ever, audited their smart contracts? If yes, then what were the findings, and what is their final conclusion on the smart contract? Is it safe for us to trust? Is it something we should rely on? Is it safe? Do we have extra hands in there? So let's go in there and find out from CETIC. And then I'm going to, first of all, let's check something. Just so you know that anything that matters in this space, especially in the crypto space, should exist on CETIC. So let's say, do we have Bitcoin in this house? Let's see. Yes, we have Bitcoin here. And let's look at the ratings they have given Bitcoin. That is 97.5% ratings. Guys, 97.5% ratings. Why is it important? It is important because even BTC, the king of all, wasn't giving 100% ratings. And I would have been so surprised to see a certain 100% ratings. That it should tell you that in every sphere of life, there's a small little door, or there's a small risk attached to it, and Bitnest is not out of it. So with that, let's go back to Bitnest and see if they indeed know about Bitnest and what they actually know about Bitnest, whether it is true that they have actually run an audit on it before. And yes, this is certainly saying that the last time they did they ran an audit for them was in 29th of May 2024, right? And now let's look at some of the findings they have found when they did their scan, and we are more concerned about the issue of centralization. The centralization issue is crucial in all these things, because if you are engaging with a certain smart contract and you choose to do the smart contract because you don't want to trust anybody, and don't trust anybody in this place, right? People will tell you sweet things to get you put your money in, and then tomorrow, what if they decide to go to the smart contract and change things that they used to lure you in? What if they still have access to go and edit all those things and bring rules and laws that do not favor you? Most of us have been in other smart contracts when admin just wake up and say, look guys, due to this and that, we want to change something, and that ends the story forever. Oh, we are locking up your funds, we're actually going to give you some tokens to replace your funds. They take your hard-earned money, they dump a token on you, and even that, in most cases, they don't even allow you to swap those tokens immediately. They tell you that, oh, we're going to actually list this token next year, so hold on to the token for next year. When we list, it's going to list good, so you can swap and make money. So all these things have happened to us in the past, and that is why we don't want to engage in any project where the central bodies, those who created the smart contract, will still have access to the smart contract to do it. So me, for instance, mostly what I look out for is the centralization overview. Now, according to CETIC, when it comes to centralization overview, there are 4 items they mostly look out for. Distribution, whether they have their hands in the distribution, especially on when it comes to funds or any activity in the smart contract, and they say no. What about ability to upgrade the smart contract? They say no. Of course, if Bitnest developers have access to upgrade the smart contract, when the new Solidity Pragma version came, they could easily upgrade it and then stop using the old version. But because they lock it up in there, they cannot go in there to upgrade. And then, do they also have some privileges behind the scenes? No. Admins don't have any privileges and any other rights at all, as long as the contract is renounced. So now, these are the reasons I personally decided that, well, I think Bitnest is worth looking into, and I've taken that decision for some months now, and I do not regret it, right? But then let me also state that it wasn't that everything was perfect when they submitted a smart contract to CETIC. Bitnest had earlier on been running with some form of centralization mode. They have their hand in there until it got to a point where some section of the community said, look, we are growing in number, we keep bringing in more people, we think it is about time you renounce the smart contract and give us that confidence we need to promote, knowing that you can't pull the plugs on us while we are building a team. So after the back and forth, the team agreed to proceed to do this. So when they brought the issue, actually, when they brought the code, there were 4 issues that were actually found. And I'm going to touch on those issues, those 2 issues, sorry, that were found. First of all, they saw that there was a default admin role which has authority over some features. And what are these features? That admin role can set token function and also set the token ID. So this has to do with dealing with the pairs. For instance, somebody will say, I want to give me USDT. At the end of 28 days, I'm going to return USDT to you. Then after you bring the USDT, they say, no, we cannot give you USDT again, but we're going to give you our own token. That feature actually existed. Secondly, there was another role here called the operator role. This function has the ability to influence decisions when it comes to looping, as well as increasing the liquidity and then calling off the balance. Now, this feature could actually, drain funds from the liquidity pool. They have access to where the money is kept and all that. And the team said, no, guys, these features don't make your smart contract very, very solid, because one, you may not have the intention to scam your people, but then you can easily become a target of a scammer. A scammer may be targeting, maybe wishing to take down your liquidity pool. And if they do not succeed, you will become their target, because they know when they hack you and gain access through you, they can easily call these features to disrupt your program. So they made some recommendation. The recommendations have been classified into three folds. They have the short-term recommendation, asking for time lock and all that, and then the long-term, asking for time lock and DAO with combination. And then they also suggested a permanent approach, saying that renouncing the ownership or removing the feature can be considered fully resolved, right? So one, renounce the ownership of the smart contract and never claim back the privileges roles, or remove the risking functionality. Alleviation, the team chose to renounce this role. And not only did they say it, they also went on to publish the blockchain, or the link, to prove that indeed this actually happened. This is the block link to that particular transaction, and this happened on the 28th of May. So it took about 10 days from which the smart contract was launched on this address, and then up to 28th May for this renouncement or for this feature to be called. So if you look at the statement on the blog, it says the call feature actually means to revoke a role on the creator. We saw the creator of this wallet address when we were doing the analysis on D.Fi. This was the creator. So they revoke this function on the smart contract itself, and this is the hash, the transaction hash, to show that it is confirmed and it is successful. And this is the block ID. I'm talking blockchain here, and that happened exactly 399 days ago. So if D.Fi says the contract is just 1 year old, because they are taking into consideration this particular transaction as giving birth to the beginning of this new smart contract, and basically that is what we have. So at this juncture, I think I'm going to stop sharing. Sorry, it's my first time here on YouTube, and I'm really struggling my way around it, but hopefully the next session is going to be I will perfect it. So bear with me for the little breaks here and there. But then let me come back to the questions and answer session to know if you have any question for me at all, so I can help you understand few things. And then we pause it here for tonight. I will come back maybe on Saturday to walk you through this particular feature again. So please, if you have any question for me, please feel free, share with me. Okay, so if you have any question for me, please share with me. Let me quickly take those questions before we move on. Thank you so much for being around. I appreciate having you here.